Growing concerns over escalations from North Korea. The rogue regime setting off a record number of missile launches in recent days as Kim Jong-un now threatens a nuclear strike in response to expanded military drills between the U.S. and South Korea. Let's bring in Michael Allen, former National Security Counsel under George W. Bush, and he's the managing director of Beacon Global Strategies. Yesterday, the South Korea defense minister was with our Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin. Here's what they said.
Secretary Austin and I affirmed that any nuclear attack by the DPRK, including the use of tactical nuclear weapons, is unacceptable and result in the end of Kim Jong-un regime.
What is the situation as you see it, Michael?
Well, I'm glad that the Secretary of Defense and our counterpart in South Korea said what they said. This is another example of nuclear blackmail by an autocratic regime. You've seen Putin try it in Ukraine, and now you see Kim Jong-un thinking to himself, I'm going to engage in this also. Give me what I want, or else I might use a tactical nuclear weapon. We just have to stand up to the nuclear blackmail because we don't want other countries around the world, think Iran, to believe the only key for regime survival is if they get a nuclear weapon also.
Fair point there, but you think about the latest back and forth. The North Koreans scrambled they've had 180 flights near the border. The South Koreans scrambled 80 aircraft in response, and every day it just seems to go to a new level, Michael. Now, you write this, you say if China, well, we'll get to that in a moment here, but with regard to North Korea, how do you take the burner down a little bit on this now?
Well, you're right. The DPRK is dangerously provocative. I think we need to begin to try and do sanctions against the North Koreans to put them in a position where they might want to come to the table and make some sort of concessions. But we also have to stand tall with the South Koreans and the Japanese, two of our greatest allies, and make clear, try to deter the North Koreans from this type of behavior, with the threat that we would be able to definitively annihilate their regime if they were to do something reckless like attack our allies in South Korea or Japan.
Well, Michael, it'd be a big step, and you got to think that he's getting help from what, the Chinese and the Russians? What do you think about that?
I do think the Chinese see the North Koreans as a useful distraction for the West. They see us fighting back in Europe. They see increased tensions with China over Taiwan. I think they like it when North Korea pops off a little bit because it helps them and because it distracts us.
You wrote a piece for FoxNews.com, said if China conquers Taiwan, it would be a huge blow to U.S. national security and our economy. I'll let you explain a little bit more to that here, because I think viewers hear about Taiwan, but they don't necessarily understand what it would mean for them.
That's exactly right, Dana. So what I tried to do was say, what would happen if they absorbed the market power of Taiwan and had this new platform in the middle of the South China Sea? What would they do with it? I think what they would do is they would do more of the same. They would try and extort their neighbors who are our friends. They would try to rewrite the trade rules to their benefit, and they'd possibly have a stranglehold over the supply chain, which we count on for so many jobs here in the United States. So I concluded that it would be economically dangerous for the United States, but that if our politicians want us to fight China for Taiwan's freedom, we better start talking about it as a country and make sure the American people appreciate the economic repercussions.
I think we're going to hear a lot more about this post-election day, and we'll get back to it. Michael, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks.